Commence primary ignition.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Dorian Kinji here. Played Cad Bane on the Book of Boba Fett on Star Wars Disney Plus. You're watching the Virtual Cantina Network. Have fun.
Hello
Hi,
Happy Monday,
General
Rebels.
Rockle.
there.
We've got all three of us on tonight, which is very exciting. This
Yeah.
will be the go forward lineup, so we're getting used to the trio, the hat trick.
The
as
three
it were.
amigos.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, giving
Olé.
Thursday night a run for their money. They had two people last week. I was like, oh, we outnumber them. We could take them in a fight now. So welcome everyone. I know we're just getting live on the Facebook page and YouTube and everywhere else, all of our channels. So we'll give everyone a minute to join.
Yeah.
Tonight is our season 4. We're calling it like a recap. We kind of did like a best of for seasons 1 through 3. Season 4, I think, is going to be a little more just like a sort of going through all the episodes, since everything's kind of a best of in season 4. It's really,
Because it's
yeah.
so good and yet so terribly heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah. It's a heavy, heavy season and a shorter one at that. It's only 15, really 16 episodes. The 15th is kind of a two-parter. So we'll talk about that. And we have some top-rated episodes. We're not watching anything tonight. We're just going to be discussing Rebels. And yes, we will be discussing Rebels. So for everyone in the chat,
So
hello
there.
there, Sarah. Hello there, Spencer. Anyone else
So
who wants to talk
funny.
Rebels, I swear we're going to do that. But before we do that, I want to remind everyone that Rebuilding the Galaxy is out, and it is fun and it is stupid. And most
I
importantly, it
love
is
fun
fun.
and stupid.
It
Yes.
is so fun, so
I'm
stupid.
excited. Hi,
Bobby
Lori. Hi, John.
Moynihan is my new favorite Star Wars character. Like Bobby Moynihan. Not Jedi Bob, just Bobby Moynihan.
Yeah. Because remember, Kylo Ren was a punk bitch.
Exactly. He brings that exact energy to this particular little adventure, and no spoilers because on Thursday night, yeah, exactly, Sarah. I need like a shock collar, like a dog, and you could be
I
in
was
charge of
actually
the button.
kidding with us being
Yeah.
on topic. There's no topic
Yeah.
here.
The
Oh my God,
rails.
Spencer, the nerve handler thing sent me into another galaxy. I thought that was so funny. The in jokes in Rebuild the Galaxy were very on point. Yeah, Sarah, I don't know if I would trust you with the button, but if anyone were to be put in charge, I feel like they would vote you in. So Rebuild the Galaxy Thursday night. The boys are watching. I don't know who's going to be on Thursday. It's probably the usual crew. I'm sure Dave will be there. I think Spencer's going to be there on Thursday. The Rebuild the Galaxy is 4 episodes up on Disney. Well, all 4. There we go. 4 episodes up on Disney Plus. They're about 20
I'm
minutes each,
excited.
so it's a good like hour and a half of your time. I
Yeah.
loved it. I thought it was so silly.
I love the silly. I am fully on board with the silly. I am the real life Mabel Pines. I love this shit. So I can't wait. And honestly, with everything going on this weekend, with my car is in the shop again. Meh, I just kind of forgot. And yeah, thank you for the reminder because
Yeah.
I have it on my watch list, and so it's ready to go. And now that I'm not working early in the morning tomorrow, I can watch it tonight.
Yeah,
Stay
I
up
think
late.
it's worth staying up for. We watched it last night when we got back from Baltimore. I had a little, so it was happy belated Friday the 13th, everyone. I took a little road trip this weekend. Initially, my plan, because I am in the spooky season industry,
The
we were
best
going to go do
time.
something very Friday the 13th ish, and then it turned into a different type of. Oh, we lost
We
Skip.
lost the ski.
Oh, he's been booted. Revert to the 2-person. He'll be back, I'm sure. He was saying he had some internet issues.
It's all good.
That'd be great if we had. That's like the Ellen button where she used to send you down the thing in the video game.
we sent
Yeah.
Skip down to the black.
Yeah. So so Friday the 13th, originally we were going to go to Maryland for like a convention related to Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Instead, we went to go see our friends who live down in Baltimore and saw St. Vincent in DC, which was
I
awesome.
love her. Oh, yay.
You didn't miss anything. We didn't say a bad thing about you, Skip.
I was like, what happened? All of a sudden I went, whoop, and
I
was
didn't
gone.
want to tell everyone that you couldn't pay the bills and you were poor now, and the internet doesn't work.
The
but,
lights were out in Nashville.
exactly. What's that song from Lisa Marie? The lights going out in Memphis. There you go. And then the lights went out in Memphis.
I was just like, I thought, did we all go out? Or I was like, or maybe it was just me.
That happens.
Yeah. The internet hates us.
So yeah, I was telling Ashley and the people in the chat, unrelated to Rebels, I was in DC to see St. Vincent, and then my friends are in a band, an independently signed band called Hand Apple, and they had a concert on Saturday night that was at a recording studio. So they got like a live album recorded and a multi-track
Wow.
audio recording that you can use for a variety of things, and video recording. It was super cool because it was kind of like a secret show. It was kind of family and friends only.
That's rad.
It was super fun. It was a great weekend. And now I'm back. But we did watch the Rebuild the Galaxy, and now this week we get Agatha.
Agatha! Oh my god.
Losing my mind.
I just watched the teaser and it's Rio versus Agatha. And honestly, like I love the fact that they got Aubrey Plaza to play a Green Witch.
Yep.
And she's absolutely psychotic. It's perfect. So yeah, sign me up. This is gonna be a fun week.
So for everyone who is not familiar with Agatha All Along, it's a spinoff of WandaVision. If you know WandaVision, the premise of the show is that every episode is kind of like a different sitcom. And so this one, every episode is going to be a play on a different horror movie or trope. So there's like a Wizard of Oz episode. And if you look at the fight with Agatha and Rio, the knife thing immediately reminded me of The Craft, like the final fight in The Craft.
Oh my god.
And you know there's going to be some, how do you not reference The Craft in this type of movie? So Lori, it was Agatha. It was Agatha all along.
Totally.
I'm so excited about Agatha. And they did actually confirm we're going to get some queer characters, which everyone knows Joe Locke is gay in real life. And Patti LuPone is like queen of the gays. And then everyone in the show, Zashir Zameda just came out as a lesbian. And a bunch of these characters are all going to be, there's an LGBTQ mix. And Jack Schaefer, who's the showrunner, said that the parallels between the persecution of witches and real women in history and the LGBTQ community have a lot of overlap, and then the overlap with horror and all of that. So I was like, okay, this is definitely being made for like the girls, the gays, and the theys. So I think it's going to be a very different kind of Marvel project.
Just like the Acolyte. So
yeah, Acolyte. Although I still stand by the fact that I think Acolyte was made for like the old-timey Star Wars like prequel fans too, and they just didn't get it. Like this one I think is being specifically targeted as like, okay, we made this for ladies and gays. Whereas like Acolyte was like High Republic fans, which has sort of a broader appeal, but then people just hated it for bad people ruin that. They ruin that water. And I do think there'll be a review bombing of Agatha and a bunch of other shit, but I also think Marvel fans don't hold Marvel up the way that Star Wars fans hold up Star Wars, like religion.
That is true.
Where you're not going to get the review bombing. Like, I don't think that there's going to be a group of old, angry white Marvel fans.
To be fair, they did it with Captain Marvel and the Marvels. So it seems like anything that's just veered towards something that isn't the, stereotypical male comic book geek, they're going to have a problem with it. And honestly, the amount of people that are now saying how good She-Hulk is after the fact, and we're like trashing it, like everybody catches up later.
Of course,
and
it's
dumb. Just
we'll see how it goes. Skip, are you excited about the show? Because you're more of a casual Marvel fan.
Yeah.
But me, I was a huge, I was a big. Let's see. I collected comic books in the late 70s, early 80s, and going right up to 1990. And then about 1990, I stopped. I originally started in DC Comics and then moved my way over into the Marvel kind of more realistic universe. Because they used real cities instead of, Metropolis and Gotham and stuff like that, which were just nice names for New York City. But the one aspect of a Marvel that I'm very weak on is Agatha Harkness. I know her from being in the Fantastic Four, but on her own and her own I know nothing. So this will be interesting for me.
To be honest with you, like they don't stick to the Agatha that is in the comics in this. Like they make her like Catherine Hahn just kind of melds her into this
Doesn't
own.
look at all like the
Definitely
Agatha
not. Yeah.
of
Who kind of looks like, for
Marvel
those who don't
Comics.
She
know,
she is old, to be fair, and I'm not saying Catherine Hahn. I'm saying the character is old, and
The
in fact,
character's
Patty
awesome.
LaPone's character is like 400 plus years old.
oof.
So yeah,
But,
and Sarah, I like that note. Being a strictly TV Marvel fan, I'm in the same bucket where I'm movie and TV. I'm not comic. I used to read some comics, but I lost track. But the MCU doesn't follow a comic lineage whatsoever. They take the idea of the
Yeah, they
character
cherry
and
pick
No.
the
translate
characters.
it.
and
Yeah.
in fact, if anything, what happens is the comics start following the movies.
Hmm.
Things that were the comics were in a different category, and then the movies started doing them, and then the comics started grabbing that content, kind of like what current canon does to the legend stuff. Cherry picks the stuff that they like and brings it into the comics and says, okay, now we'll be a little bit more like the movies. Maybe playing to the casual fans that watch just the movies or the TV product and don't watch or don't read the magazines as much.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, there are a lot of books to keep up with. I think there's like 15 different titles related to Batman. Like, and I'm probably
Yeah,
being
easily.
conservative in that number.
that was
So,
the hard thing for me
yeah.
as I got older. It was like, hold on, there's like, I needed consistency or almost like a canon,
Mhm.
and it was
And
so
they don't
hard
line
because
up. Yeah.
there were three different this and four different that, and I was like, hold on, which one am I watching? No wonder the storylines. I've got grabbed the wrong Batman,
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know.
I mean, look, that as much as I give Star Wars so much shit, right, for this, like they have one canon. And the comics tie to the movies, tie to the novels, tie to this. Minor discrepancies here and there contradict, but they have one canon. You open up a Batman comic and it's nothing like any of the movies. In fact, the movies don't even line up. There's a Joker movie coming out in a week or in a couple weeks that has nothing to do with Batman. And the Batman is not in the same universe as the new upcoming
Oh,
Superman movie.
by the way, the
So
Penguin drops this week too.
oh, that's right. I forgot about Penguin. That was
I'm
supposed to be
so
December.
excited.
They moved that up. Like
Yes,
that
they
was supposed to
did.
be December. So that must
I
mean that
was
they think really strongly about it, I think.
I
Hell
have yet to
yeah.
watch the Joker movie. I've seen little bits
The
and
first
pieces
one?
of. Yeah, I have not watched it. I'm not into it. It is just so. I mean,
It's
I
very
saw.
nihilistic.
I
And
know that
I
people
Yeah.
like to think that the villains make Batman, but without Batman, the villains are
well,
not
Well,
interesting to me.
here's the good news. Batman's not in it. And it's not really the Joker we know and love. It's a weird interpretation of Joker. And
yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is just magnificent. It's also like not very comic booky.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I
It
will say the fans of Joker make Joker kind of insufferable. Like there's that, right? But the movie itself is terrific.
yeah. It's honestly I've only seen it once because I felt like emotionally it was a lot to handle. It was
Hmm.
basically like a warning piece to the dangers of neglecting someone's mental health and
Hmm.
not having the resources there to help someone who is clearly struggling and asking for help because they are in a mental health crisis.
Yep.
And that's what I felt like the Joker was. And it's like what happens when someone who's crying out for help and literally going to their therapist and the therapist is just brushing them off
Hmm.
gets to the point where he's a maniac and he murders people. And
There's a bunch of different
it's a
lessons, right?
society piece, and it was
Yeah.
hard. It's probably the only DC Marvel comic booky thing that I have only seen once. I have no desire to see it again.
Yeah,
It's a
it's like,
hard
okay, I've
watch.
seen that. Now I
Yeah.
don't need to watch it again. And now
Yeah.
they're making a second one, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
I love Gaga, and I'll
I'm
probably
going.
watch
I'm
it for
going open
Gaga
tonight.
because I love her to pieces, and I really
Yep.
think that she brings like an elegance. Even if she's playing this crazy version of Harley Quinn, she brings this elegance to things, and I love it. So
There's a few
do it
different
for Gaga.
themes from the first movie that I think carry over. But like as you mentioned, it's a meditation on mental health. There's also the backdrop of what I would say is late stage capitalism, which we're living through every day
Yeah.
over here. But they're really talking about the divide between like the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor, and they use Gotham City as like a microcosm for the planet, basically, of
Right.
like
Yeah.
the rich exploiting the poor and all of that kind of stuff. We also deal with like the cult of personality
Mhm.
and how that leads to violence. And that feels very, very, very real. We just lived through that for the past like 8 years, 9 years, etc., and or maybe headed
Tired
toward
of
it
living
again.
through
It,
unprecedented times.
exactly. And of course, like this being made sort of like right before the pandemic or right during the pandemic or whatever, where everything felt so bleak and hopeless, like this hit a little too close to home for a lot of people.
Mm.
One of the big criticisms, though, from the movie is that it basically showed like this mentally ill person becoming a violent maniac and killing people when most mentally ill people are just like tired. They're just like tired and exhausted of the world around them as opposed to like serial killers. And he's Arthur's unhinged. In this new movie, it actually seems really fun, which is a turn, because he meets Harley Quinn and falls in love. And instead of his delusions, you know how they had like the cutaways in the first movie and he was
Yeah.
doing a stand up act? The
Yeah.
delusions in this movie are music videos with him and Lady Gaga because like they fall in love through music. And guess what? Joaquin Phoenix can sing. He played Johnny Cash in Walk the Line.
Yeah.
So
And
we
it was
know that
his
he's a good
voice.
singer.
Yeah.
So it's going to be him and Lady Gaga tearing up the screen. It's a music video for 3 hours. I'm in. Like, yeah, I
Absolutely.
don't care what the story is. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
but
do
they're
love
trying
her.
to tie it to Batman, and it just doesn't work for me
It's
because it
not
doesn't.
really though. It's just set in
It's
Gotham.
why they
Like,
just make a movie. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like they're tagging the Batman character to be able to try and create a movie that's based on the lack of emphasis of mental health in the United States, and then they tied to Batman, and it just is like, hold on, I can't find anything that makes me feel like, okay, I'm slightly, sort of, maybe kind of walking on the edge of Batman.
And
Yeah.
yet it made like $1 billion. It did
It sure
so
did.
well. So well.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how the sequel does. And we will see how Agatha does. Before that, though,
And
I
the
don't want to
Penguin.
lose. And the Penguin. I don't want to lose Spencer's comment from a little bit earlier. I'm going to put it up on the screen because we did drop another hot seat today.
Yes. I
So
loved it.
I had what here's the thing. I don't play favorites. However, this might have been my favorite interview from the batch because I got
Oh,
to talk to Christopher
absolutely.
Sean and Nelson Lee, the Gionos. So Senator Giono and Kaz, and they had never met before in real life, and they were just delightful.
That's wild.
So I had a really fun talking to them. The clip is up on Instagram Reels, and then the full video, which is all like 5 minutes, is up on our YouTube channel. They are just the nicest guys.
Yeah.
So highly recommend following both of them on social media, checking out like all of our Bunta coverage and all the other. I mean, we're doing one every Monday.
Yeah,
With
so
dropping these
check out the
interviews
rest of
from the
them.
course of the trip. It was a blast. Jason was like, "You need to do this as like a side gig or a part-time job," and I was like, "I'm too busy as it is." But yes,
I want to
it's a lot
enjoy
of
my
fun.
cons, Jason.
Yeah.
No, but it's
The next
possible.
con is
It'll
like
be
coming
fun.
up soon too. We're weeks away from New York. And Skip, you said you're going to ICCC next
ICCC,
week.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm
All the
going,
C's.
All the C's.
I
2 more
see.
weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2?
ICCC.
ICCC. I'm sad I'm not going to that, but I should have gone last year during the Rebels thing, and it's been a weird year. I'll tell you that. And I'm in peak season right now, and I am drowning.
I got 4 of the 5 people that are sitting behind my head on the show tonight.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get 5 of them, but somebody bailed on us.
Yeah, rhymes
Not
with
ready.
Schminge Jr. So let's with that in mind, let's actually start talking a little bit about Rebels. And
Rebels?
we'll get back to some other pop culture stuff as we go. As you guys know, this is our 3rd to last episode of Rebels Revisited as we get ready to turn over to Clone Wars. So we're jumping a little bit early on this and doing the season recap before we finish watching through the whole season, because our final 2 episodes are going to be watch-alongs of the series finale, which is Family Reunion and Farewell.
And it's
So
our
that is happening.
series finale as well, so it's like fitting.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna be sad.
I don't know. And even just doing a Fool's Hope last week, I was like feeling too many of the feelings. I think that's why we couldn't stay on topic. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't talk about this.
We
I'm gonna
did.
cry.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
sticking
We
in my
had
chest.
2 or 3 minutes of talking about Rebels. I mean, what are we
Exactly.
doing?
Oh, and that was Best of Maul, right? Where
Yeah.
it was like we talked about Maul for like 10 seconds. I
Maul-
was like, I hope
Maul
Sam
back.
Witwer doesn't see this episode. He's gonna think we're a bunch of idiots. Um,
Oh man.
But season 4 of Rebels, we're almost done making our way through, and I don't think we need to convince anyone on this channel just how good it is. But I do want to remind everyone like what happens in season 4, because it actually hits
a
more
lot.
themes than I think people remember. The opener to season 4 is a 2-parter, Heroes of Mandalore, which is kind of an isolated story and like a weird opener for the season, because like we don't revisit Mandalore after this moment. It kind of wraps up all the Sabine stuff from season 3, where we're dealing with her mom and the dad is being held captive,
Yeah.
and
by
then
him.
Sabine has to like go up against the Empire, and they use the Duchess weapon against her. And for a second, we think people might be dead. Maybe her mom's dead. Maybe whatever. But then
Thank
immediately
God
they
they
show us it's
didn't
not.
have that be the season finale in season 3, because
And a
oh
little
Can you
my
doggy
imagine?
God,
time.
people would have lost their damn minds. Because I know I lost my damn mind, and I'm glad that they managed. We've talked about this on other episodes, but I'm glad that they managed to make it, instead of like airing one week and then waiting a whole week to find out
Mhm.
what happens next. They did a 2-parter right off the bat for the season premiere.
Well, the
And
soul. Go
it,
ahead.
I took such a breath, like, okay, there's another episode after this. Okay, I don't have to stress. But I'm telling you, it was jarring.
The sole purpose of this arc was to take the Darksaber out of Sabine's hands and put it in Bo's hands,
Yes.
Yes.
and that was the sole
Mhm.
purpose, which
Mission
is
accomplished.
exactly where it was, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that and then somehow it ends up in Din's hands.
Yeah, the dark saber is a little bit of a hot potato, and I think like a terrible MacGuffin, honestly, because it got really confusing with the lore. I loved it in Clone Wars, and I loved it less in Rebels. And by the time I got to the Mandalorian, I was exhausted by it. So I'm sort of glad it's gone. I know that it was very controversial to break up the
Yeah.
dark saber. I do think that Bo was deserving of the dark saber when they gave it to her in Rebels. And I like that she like united Mandalore behind her. It didn't go her way, but whatever does. I mean, Star Wars is nothing if not a war and not a tragedy, especially for the Kryze clan. Those poor ladies, they
Ugh.
can't make it through a week. There's like constantly some
Anyone
nonsense.
checked on Corky lately?
Yeah, yeah, poor Corky just
Where's
disappeared
he?
into the ether. But yeah, at least like Sabine's family gets like it ends on a positive note, right? Like we
Yeah.
like at that we know in the Mandalorian they don't all make it, but by the end of Rebels, in those 2 episodes, we know that the dad is freed. The mom is still alive and wearing her very cool yellow armor, which I love. I love her armor.
And
And then
she's
the brother
slightly
Tristan.
less bitchy.
Yes, we hate the mom less, which is a good thing. I still punch her in the face when I met her. I mean, I think she's still deserving of at least like one good like slap.
Ha.
She bounced back, but still. And then the brother Tristan, he's wearing his armor with a little bit of Sabine flair added to it. So like
And we
you can
see
see like
that
the
in
bond, like
the Forces of Destiny animated show.
yeah,
Yeah.
love that.
It's really
So
cool.
I think things end really, and in this sense, it almost feels like a season finale for Sabine and the Wrens, more so than a season
It
opener.
wraps them up nicely.
Yeah,
Well, it's gonna have to wrap him up nicely because we don't get to see him too much of that.
yeah. Those are the
true.
last appearances from the Wrens,
Spoiler
other
alert.
than Sabine.
That is true.
And
Yeah,
do
and
we
then we'll never
really
actually see them
hear
again.
How they end up? They were the they got pounded by the Empire, didn't they?
Yeah, the Night of a
And then
Thousand
Night of a
Tears
Thousand
seems to
Years.
be. We don't know for a fact if they were killed during the Night of a Thousand Tears or in the aftermath or the fighting afterward or whatever. It's never quite explained. I kind of hope when we get to Ahsoka season 2, they give us more of that. And honestly, I'm like devastated we're not going to see Tristan at least. Like, can we
Yeah.
please keep a sibling alive? Like for someone.
Run out
Like,
loud.
yeah.
Well, and am I wrong in saying
Okay.
that she wasn't on? They weren't on Mandalore during Rebels. They were on
They
a
were
different
not.
planet.
Yeah.
So how did they get back to Mandalore to get killed in the Night of a Thousand Tears?
I mean, there's a lot of time, right? But yeah, here's the thing: Night of a Thousand Tears was definitely central to Mandalore itself, but it seems like the entirety of their system went down. By the Empire, they all got crushed. I do think it's just a terrible throwaway line, though, to be like, "Oh, my entire family was killed." Like, it would be one thing if she was like, "My parents were killed." Then at least we know the brother's still out there or something, or just like they're missing. I just hate the finality of like her being an orphan,
Yeah, you needed some hope in there, and there was just no
Yeah.
hope at all. They put a period on that sentence and ended it.
Ahsoka
course.
did a lot of things wrong, and I would say that's near the top of the list.
Yeah.
With that, though, I think this season premiere was a good one, though not a great introduction to the season arc. It's better at closing out last season. The real season premiere, in my mind, kicks in next, which is In the Name of the Rebellion, because this sets up the meta plot for all of season 4, which is to take back Lothal, and really feeling like the start of the rebellion. So this two-parter, which again, these two-parters are bangers, right?
Oh yeah.
Ezra, I'm going to read the description. As members of the Rebel Alliance, Ezra and the Ghost crew must accept a mission to spy on an Imperial outpost they would rather destroy. And then, after being separated from Hera and Kanan, Ezra and Sabine join the desperate quest of Saw Gerrera to hunt down the Empire's elusive secret superweapon. So we get a two-parter with Saw Gerrera. We get Saw Gerrera fighting with Mon Mothma. We watched this like a year ago when we were doing the build up to Andor, because this was a Mon Mothma heavy episode. So we watched this very out of order. But yeah, this is really good at the character building for Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera, showing how
Yeah.
the rebellion is forming
Oh, I
and
love the
setting up the
face
plot
off
back
between
to
them.
Lothal. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Even if it's a hologram, it's so full of tension and
Mhm.
like Saw's just berating her for like, okay, you're fighting the Empire, but on the Empire's terms. When are you going to
Yeah.
stop this?
And this leads us up to Rogue One. I mean,
Mhm.
as far as Saul's character is going, we've seen him through Clone Wars, through the beginning of Rebels, and then the end of Rebels puts him exactly where he needs to be, is heading to Jeddah.
Yeah, and we see Yavin quite a bit in season 4.
Yeah.
The base is on Yavin, so it's starting to feel very A New Hope at
Mhm.
this time period. Like the turn is happening from when like Rebels first started. It felt like its own thing and its own little isolated world, especially being on Lothal. It sort of felt out there. And then here we're literally on Yavin, like getting ready to launch some X-wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it separates up that, we brought them, the characters being brought into Yavin and what's going on there. And then it has to separate them off and send them on their own, because
Mhm.
we all know what happens on Yavin. And we didn't see, Chopper and
Yeah.
everybody, hanging out on Yavin when A New Hope was going on. So we had to have a story where they left and why the rebellion didn't go with them.
Mhm.
I honestly think it's a very smart idea to have them get the rebellion's permission to go back to Lothal and liberate Lothal. And though they couldn't really spare anybody to help, like it allows us to like end where we started and
Yeah. At least it's sanctioned.
saying, yeah, it's totally, okay now. They're letting us go,
Mhm.
unlike what's happening in Rogue One. But
Yeah, basically
the whole
this
season
mission.
is a transition of a lot of stuff. A transition,
Yeah.
Our characters, kind of everything's coming full circle. We're transitioning our main characters back to Lothal.
Mhm.
We're moving Ezra from the from being the Padawan follower to now the leader. We're moving Kanan into the Obi-Wan like character.
Mhm.
And in all sorts of ways. Not only is he the mystic leader, understanding of the deeper meanings of the Force, and then he's now the Force Ghost or whatever he is as that ends. And big transition. I mean, it's just it was season 4 was an arc, and it was a complete arc. It took all the old stuff that was left over, closed the doors on all of them, and then moved it on to the appropriate end of the series.
right, it hyper focused everybody down to like a single pinpointed mission:
Mhm.
liberate Lothal, stop Thrawn's TIE Defender program, and basically stop the Emperor from gaining access to a Jedi temple.
And we had to get rid
And
of
the war
Thrawn.
between
You
worlds.
think about
Yeah.
that, because we didn't have him in A New Hope,
Mhm.
Empire, or Return of the Jedi. So
Right.
what do we do with him? Well, this
Yep.
is the tool
Remove
to
him
get
from
rid
the
of him.
chessboard. Yeah.
You got to remove him from the chessboard, and then we'll bring him back in later when we want to play with him.
It's kind of crazy how there aren't a lot of loose threads. Like they don't just stick the landing in like a satisfying way, but they answer most of our questions. Like the little things that are left over question wise are so minor. Like
It's epilogue stuff.
yeah, and they answer they answer a good amount of it in the epilogue, which is
And we
great. I
have an
love that they
epilogue,
have a coda
imagine
at the
that.
end. Yeah. I think they really do stick the landing, and they really give each character. It's almost like they went into the room being like, "What are the outstanding questions for each character? How do we check them off as we go? And did we get there?" And I think on almost
Yeah.
all of them, they stuck it, because right
It's
after
almost
this,
like they had a storyboard somewhere that they were following.
like a head writer and a plan. It's almost as if they had a plan.
Oh
Can
no!
you imagine making a Star Wars with a plan? I
Now
can't.
Well,
I
and
gotta
having
say,
a crew that's sole job was to keep track of all this stuff and make a list so that they can write these out. Who haven't we take? What do we got to take care? No, we got to get this one done. Don't go there. You got to take
It
care
was
of this
me.
one.
Taking notes.
taking notes. The one thing that I kind of wish, like my little wish list for Ahsoka season 2, is that some of the writers that they had for Rebels, like some of the writing for these episodes, are absolutely phenomenal. We
Mhm.
got Henry Gilroy writing some,
Please bring him
obviously.
in, please.
Yeah, obviously
Yeah.
Dave Filoni. There's let me just go through the list. What we got here? We've got Kiri Hart, Simon Kinberg, phenomenal job. Steve Melching, the namesake for Melch.
Mhm.
Matt Michinovitz, Gary Whitta went on to work Rogue One.
Mhm.
And Christopher Yost, comic book writer, Wolverine and the
Yeah.
X-Men. He was responsible for the animated series with Steve
Yeah,
Blum.
where the hell are these people now?
Yeah,
We need them in
so
a Star Wars
bring him in.
immediately.
I understand that
Yeah.
a lot of these names focus in animation, like Christopher Yost.
Yeah.
Obviously, Henry Gilroy did some. Melch has done this, but just get the core writing crew back.
Mhm.
Hyper focus it down, because the story just flowed so much better, and there wasn't
Mhm.
unnecessary loose ends, and also it takes a lot of Dave's plate. So
Yeah. I gotta be honest, like, as someone who heads a department, I can't also do the granular day to day. And I do think there's
right,
some concern that someone as high up as Dave shouldn't be literally writing episodes. You know what I mean? He should be able to give that to someone in his team and say, the theme of this season is stick the landing for each character. Everyone get in a room and make the list, and then tell me what you're going to do with these people. But like, he
right,
shouldn't be writing dialogue and figuring out like staging and all that kind of shit, like the stage directions and who goes what and where and the time and all that crap.
yeah,
Like,
and he can be beneficial. Like the World Between Worlds episode of Ahsoka
sure,
was
give your input.
phenomenal.
Oversee,
Absolutely.
oversee. Yeah, you
And
need to oversee and manage,
he
not
wrote
do.
that episode and directed that episode.
Mhm.
So like there's just so much that
Mhm.
he's responsible for. And not only that, what's going on with the Mandalorian and Grogu,
Exactly.
bring in
And
the
plus the
core team
team.
to help.
Well,
So
Yeah.
if you do your pre-work, if you say, okay, let's create all our story arcs. This is where we're going to start. We're going to do this arc. 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 And we're going to end the season over here.
yeah, definitely.
And everybody's going to take part. Then he can say, okay, I'm going to go take a break and go into my room, and I'm going to write this episode because this is the one that I want to do. Because then he doesn't have to watch everything because everything's been planned out. He doesn't have to worry about where he picked up and where he left off and making sure that the next person takes, because it's already been done. Everything's been set. All he's got to do is go inside my little circle right here. I'm being funny. My little circle, and right inside my little circle.
Yeah, exactly. And it
Overseeing.
tends to get rid of the fluff and the filler and stuffing too many characters into things, and just it streamlines it. So yeah, I'm honestly for that. And the way this end of the series, once they got off of Mandalore and the Mandalorians were a unified people once again, everything just became like, okay, blinders are on. This is what we're doing now.
Mhm.
And not only do we have a larger rebellion, should we need it, that's the groundwork has been laid for that between the events of Rogue One and the events of Rebels. They are freeing Lothal.
I like the whole what do they call that, the 13 what is it, the where everybody goes back to the ship. I mean, it was a play on the whole that came from the story arc where Saul was in it, and they had the Empire had developed a program called something 13. What's it? Help me out here. You guys are looking at me like I'm lost. You know what I'm talking about? Because the whole thing about going back and getting them onto the central pod that they blasted up and then shot to pieces was on this design that the Empire had to come up with, which was basing the fact on, hey, we know, but we don't know. Behind the curtain, we know that there's a Death Star out there. So the Empire has to design Plan 13, where everybody gets off the planet because we're about to destroy that planet. We don't want to lose our people. So they all go back. And that was developed in the Saul story arc, so they could be carried over into the last two episodes, so they could use that against them, so they could put all the Empire in one place and we'll get them there.
Yeah. And it's whittled down to it. Like it's
Somebody was thinking there.
yeah.
Just a
And
little bit.
that's what I love, and that's what I
Also a
think
lot
is
of retconning going on.
that
so-
also. But yeah.
Yeah.
But moving the chessboard around, moving those
Yeah.
pieces.
They didn't change anything. Actually, what they did was it's almost a little
Well,
different
they
than
fill in
retcon.
blanks, right?
Yeah, they took just like Clone Wars did. Clone Wars
Mhm.
had here's the we got Revenge of the Sith, and we got Clone Wars, and then we said and they didn't retcon either one of them for the most part. I'm sure there's a couple little blurbs in there, but we won't. Let's not go over the details. But the big thing is,
we'll be handling that in about 3 weeks, you guys.
yeah, we got this area to play in, and we can do whatever we want so long as we don't go out of these two lines.
As long as Anakin Skywalker never sees General Grievous and the
yeah.
hoops they fucking jump through to make sure that didn't happen.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
And,
it's so unreal. It's unreal. Yeah.
and
Now,
let's
again,
make sure
they
they
treat it
save
like church.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
We
so-
need her.
Where the hell was she during the original trilogy? That's going to be the next. I mean, people ask that every day, but they will tell us at some point. They will have to tell us, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a thing.
It
That's
will.
Ahsoka season 3.
Believe me, if there was going to be a show that gets 7 seasons, it's going to be hers. Which I liked Ahsoka season 1. I don't want to make it seem like I'm being negative. I do think that we need to spend time with different characters in different time periods, and the fact that the Acolyte, and we're going to cover this on Wednesday, Ashley.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Tune in. Ashley and Jamie are going to let you have it about the Acolyte and all that, because it should have been the door that opened this whole other stream of possibilities for Star Wars with different characters, different time periods, different places, different themes, different casting. And now, not only is the door not open, it is fucking welded shut. Like, welded. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the next thing we're going to get is a Han Solo spinoff. Like, it's going to be that pitiful. Like, they're going to bring Alden back and be like, quick, make the Solo show. They're going to make Solo 2 happen. And like, I hate to be that guy where like, look, I would like to see Solo 2. Actually, I think that'd be kind of cool. But
I
I'm
want
over
to
it.
see Solo
Like,
too.
there's nothing more that I need to see with Han Solo in it. There's nothing.
I think
Like,
they
what don't
threw
we know
this out
about
there
him?
to get. I think that the people who loved, or not, let's not call it love. Love's a little too strong. The people who liked Acolyte, or at least so much, didn't hate it so much that they wanted to see some more of it to see if they could kind of work through the murky water that they trudged through in season 1. Those of us who wanted to see it played out a little bit more were a non-vocal majority, maybe instead of the vocal minority. We had the non-vocal majority, and I think that there's this little piece in me, the part that loves conspiracy theories, which I really don't. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. Is that they threw this out here? Let's call. We're going to cancel it. Even though we've got all these toys, we're going to hold on to them. We're not going to sell them. We're going to pull them off the market. Which is the dumbest thing in the world if you're going to end something. Let's clear out our inventory and sell it all real fast. So they pull back the inventory, which is my sign that they really weren't going to cancel this thing. They're just holding on to it until it's worth more money. And they're going to let the non-vocal majority start getting vocal. And now they've got a group of people that are signing petitions and saying, no, we want some more of this. Okay, now we've got it. Let's go ahead and say we weren't going to cancel it, because you noticed, has Disney announced? Because I think all of this story was leaked. Sources say
It was Deadline
Disney,
or Variety. Yeah.
but Disney said not a shit.
They never do.
And they put Manny Jacinto on stage at D23 the day
And
before.
Manny's going, and they've got him lined up for
And all the publishing for the
for
Acolyte
celebration.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've got all the publishing still going out. And I think that they're just trying to, they're like, okay, let's work these people up a little bit. Let's pretend we're going to cancel this thing, and they'll get all upset, and then we'll give it back to them, and now we'll have a wave of positive energy instead of this vocal minority.
This is a dangerous game, and I just want to say, I want to go on record as someone who is a licensee and say Disney fumbled this poorly, and they've done this before. This is not their first time. It will not be their last time, and I stand by that. They're just they do not learn when it comes to how to manage the PR, the social media, and the toxic fandom. I don't understand. Other brands have managed to squash their toxicity in the fandom in better ways and push back appropriately. Disney has not. It's that simple. Disney has not. And I don't understand why they're so conservative about this when they
The
should
main
be
character's
understanding.
Honestly,
not changing though.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's the same way as, what they do with, how they let the Phantom Menace and all the
Mhm.
prequels get a lot of hate, and to the point where poor Ahmed Best and poor
Yeah.
Jake Lloyd were bullied by the Phantom
Yeah.
Menace. I feel like they wait until like 10 years or so have passed, and then everybody starts loving it again, and then they just embrace that property. So it's like that cycle. Once they get past the negativity and they let the nah, 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 nah
Mhm.
happen, it's like, okay, now you can remember that, hey, this was actually pretty damn
Yeah, but it's
good.
too late. You need to shut
I
down these
know.
people. Like,
I
there's a whole
know.
thing happening with Star Wars Theory right now that is like irking
Ugh.
me. Like, they like literally picked a fight with Star Wars Explained, and Jason texted me, and I was at work, and I was like,
Oh,
who said
bruh.
something about Alex or Molly? I have not been in a fist
Bruh.
fight since college, and I will throw hands for Alex and Molly. Like, you don't even know. It's the kind of thing where I was like, where am I getting on a plane? Who are we punching? Like, it was that fast. Like, the
Ugh.
the people who are on the wrong side of this have just started um like attacking other people
Yeah,
in a way that just is unbecoming of someone who claims to be a fan of what Star Wars is, right? So that's the kind of thing that's like, what can you do? All right, let's
absolutely.
get back to Rebels, because I know we're talking a lot, but we are talking about Star Wars adjacent, but uh, we're up to we're up to episode 5. We're making our way through. We're making our way through though. This is when I would say the main plot of the season kicks into gear. The
Right.
occupation is the start of Ezra and the crew going back to Lothal. This is Liberate Lothal. This is the important group, like, of main characters headed toward the main mission of season 4. And it's emotional, right? Because like
Yeah.
we're headed toward the end. It feels like the end. It feels very heavy,
It's ramping
and
up. Yeah.
yeah, we know where we're headed. There's one goal: liberate Lothal.
Yeah. As
We
soon as they
started there, we got to end there.
yes.
Yeah, it is the full circle moment. It is very balance of the force kind of poetry. It rhymes. You know,
Lothal is getting its redemption.
it is. It is. And
Yeah.
when they arrive, um, Lothal looks like a mess.
Looks
When we
like Blade
arrive over
Runner.
here. There we go. I just gotta delete something. There we go. Gotta purge some comments. So, you've made it when you get like lurkers who are spamming.
Yeah.
But yeah, the the arrival on Lothal is very hopeless feeling, right? Like it looks like in the time they've gone,
Everything's on
years have gone
fire.
by, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, how long have they been missing, right? Like it's not a ton of time that they've been off world, and they have those
Probably a
wanted,
year if you
yeah,
really think about it.
the
But
wanted posters are up, and
the Empire's truly taken over. Like
yeah,
they've even Old Joe's bar
I love it.
completely run, you
Ezra's
know,
like, why are they using that old picture of me?
yeah, it's like that's a good thing. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I think I've told this story before, but when season 4 started, we were getting some early assets because we were going to do some stuff at Tops, and they sent me the wanted posters. And I wrote back to my licensing manager in Disney, and I was like, "Are you sure these are correct? These are obviously character models from season 1." And she wrote back, she's like, "I know," and she's like, "That's the point. The Empire is not caught up with their new look." And I was like,
no
"Oh,
clue.
love it, love it, love it." We actually did the wanted posters as like an insert in one of the card sets.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so that was
I
really fun.
loved it.
But
And
like, I was cracking up because I was like, "These look like season 1 models." I was like, "Sabine's hair isn't even that color." It was like very that. So,
yeah.
but yeah, like all of Lothal felt so hopeless, right? The bar was taken over.
Right.
They
And
were on the run. Yeah.
we have like Jai Kell showing up, and
Hmm.
people like, sticking up for them, but noticing that they have been off world for such a long time that they don't know quite know how things are going to go now. So even if they have probably the craziest costume changes I've ever seen
Oh my
on any
god,
Star
so
Wars,
good.
the Lothalian outfits were just
They had a lot of
insane.
fun putting
Those
them
hats.
in. Yeah,
Those
Yeah.
hats, my
everyone
friend.
gets a
They look
fun
like little
hat.
Quaker hats, space Quaker hats.
Honestly, we should do that. We should have like a get together at a con where we all just wear crazy Lothalian hats. It'd be amazing.
I'm still
Where
working on my
Zeb is wearing
standard
that
Ezra.
hat on his head. Oh my God, Zeb
He
would
just
be
looks so grumpy. He's like wearing this hat.
I
But
My goal is to be good Ezra by the time we get to Rhode Island Comic Con. I'm wearing my Ezra
yes,
T-shirt again, courtesy of Colin. Thank you, Colin. My
loves.
yellow shirt is all I have, and my armor pieces. But like, I have accomplished nothing on this Ezra cosplay. I feel like such a loser.
You've been
Before
busy.
the
You had
I
COVID.
know it's been
You
and
went to Fire
and
Island.
I did order my candy corn Lothcat.
Oh, you did get one?
Um,
Okay.
well, it's coming on Friday, so
Okay.
I will have it for next episode, which will help as
Lothcats
I,
unite.
between my lightsaber, my Lothcat, and my yellow shirt, that's as good as it's going to be for. And I got to get a haircut between now and then. That'll be as good as we get for Ezra for
Yeah.
at least this channel at the moment. But by the
Mhm.
time we get to Rhode Island, I want to be a little bit further along where I can
You
wear
will.
something respectable. But yeah. We'll talk about Rhode Island by the end of the show as well because we have a meetup there. We have a lot of cons coming up that we want to talk about meetups, so we'll
Yeah.
get to that. But okay, so the occupation gets us to Lothal, and then Flight of the Defender. We see Ezra and Sabine stealing one of the TIE prototypes. This is the TIE Defender. This is the big program that Thrawn is running, which is the big deal here because the TIE Defender program is where Thrawn wants to spend the money, the budget from the Empire, as opposed to Project Stardust, which is the Death Star that Thrawn is pushing, not Thrawn, that Krennic is pushing for from Tarkin, and Tarkin is pulling the strings as he does.
He is right in the middle, playing them against each other.
Mhm.
But as we see in Tales of the Empire, it's Morgan Elsbeth who brings the TIE Defender program to Thrawn's attention.
Mhm.
So it's the retcon tie-in thing going on again.
Play between the lines.
Yes. Tie up all the loose ends that way. So the amount of backstabbing that the Empire does to make these crazy great super weapons. Like nobody owns their own genius in the Empire. Like nobody.
No. You're just a cog in the machine, which I think is like a great
and it's literally their logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great metaphor for like capitalism gone awry, right? And just the worst of human nature. And then we get into Kindred, which is episode 7, and that's where we first meet Rook, which is very exciting.
Warwick
and
Davis.
And it's great because the rebels, they're on the run from the Empire at that point. And this is where we start seeing like the Island of Misfit Toys start coming together. All of our heroes from season 1 and throughout who are going to band together to help Ezra because Ezra has charisma. We've talked about this in a way that people are drawn to him and want to help him, and he sways people's opinions. Like Hondo is a hero because of Ezra, as Morgan and all these other villains who other people would write off or be afraid of or be worried that they're going to get betrayed by. Ezra's almost like too naive and is like, no, we'll pull them in. And I know he's trying to make a fool of me, but that's fine because I need him for something and we're going to deal on this. And by the way, they're going to do the right thing because they're going to fall in love with me. And they do. Like everyone just loves Ezra.
For that boy, anything.
Yes. That's crazy. It's
Hondo Anaka says this. Like,
yes,
pirate
the man who tried to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, it's like, oh, I'll do anything for Ezra. What's happening here?
Who are you? What have you done? Did you get hit in the head too many times? We have questions.
That's crazy. So they said
his best friends are Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hondo in the stories.
We'll tie into the Clone Wars since we're heading that direction.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see him in Clone Wars. That's going to be fun to relive those insane
jarring
moments.
Okay, we'll get into that later, but yeah, it was jarring for me. We know.
The big couple episodes that are coming up after this, though, because as Ezra is building his coalition of heroes to free Lothal, Hera flies in on her own in an X-wing, which is amazing to see Hera in the X-wing and wearing the helmet. And there's just something about that just screams a new hope.
Done in my art.
you know that she would have led a battalion with Luke, if not Luke under her, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like she was an incredible pilot, and still is. She's still alive in the canon. So she flies in and gets captured, which leads to the big moment of the series, right? Like,
Ta-da!
with the thing we all knew was coming and had to pretend it wasn't going to happen, the inevitable death of Kanan Jarrus. So, Kanan rescues Hera. They share their kiss. She
The tension
supposedly,
between them
Shared something
two.
else too.
yeah, well, she supposedly doesn't tell him that she's pregnant. Here's the thing: they've been together since season 1. I don't know if we can pinpoint the moment of
They've been
conception.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I'm
see
sure
them.
it wasn't their
Well,
first
it
time.
didn't happen in season 1. That was too long ago.
True. We don't know her gestation period.
We don't
So
know
that,
Three Legs.
that being exactly, I don't know her life. That being said, I don't know if kissing gets you pregnant, or what your sex ed teaches you, but like it's possible that we saw the conception live on Rebels, as the first time they kissed, and yeah, I mean, we've talked about Jedi Knight to death, right? Um, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as Governor Price becomes the villain of villains, killing Kanan in her very short-sighted approach of like destroying the factory and creating the explosion,
Yeah.
the fireball. Kanan saves everyone. Everyone grieves, and it's terrible. And we lived through this a few weeks ago on the channel with everyone, so it was awful, and amazing.
Yeah, and
Totally.
also like Price gets berated, absolutely like painted
Mhm.
a whole different shade of black by Thrawn, because it's like, okay, great, you killed a Jedi, but you blew up my TIE Defender program and the
Yeah.
fuel needed for this program. Like you set us back, you wasted money. Like just you never
Yeah.
see.
She thinks she's getting a parade, and he thinks she's getting
Absolutely.
fired. Like there's two very different. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mess with him. We've seen him mad one other time when he was going up against those training bots, and like, man is not to be trifled with. Absolutely not.
I'm trying to lean to pet the cat. He's requiring some pets.
Pixie!
Yeah.
You're so cute.
Who's a baby? Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about those episodes to death, and then where you
Right.
see him come, like in Doom, the episode where we see everyone deal with the grief and the aftermath of his loss.
And
I think
letting
they're some of the
Kanan
best
go.
episodes of the whole series, and in fact, like Jedi Knight is one of the top rated of the entire series. It's got a 9.4 on IMDb out of 10, and so does World Between Worlds. They're both 9.4s.
Jedi Knight, I think, sits up there right with the last 2 episodes of season 7 of Clone Wars as far as emotional tugs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole dealing with, okay, Ahsoka's got to pretend like she's dead, and
Yep.
you know, Vader gets to come back and find her sabers and dreads that she's dead. You know, and then there's, you know, everybody, you know, dealing with Kanan getting his last, you know, glimpse of his baby mama right before he takes the blow.
With his eyes returning.
Eyes are turned back, sees her, saves her, boom, dead.
Still
Jesus.
mad at Spencer for making me draw that. Still mad.
Such a beautiful image. We put it on a card once. I think we had 8x10s at Celebration for Freddie when he was there in 2019. It's just an iconic shot now. And yeah, and look, Kanan was very much the heart of the show. The teacher to Ezra. We all suspected when they announced the show that neither Ezra nor Kanan could be either surviving or in play, as it were, right? Like Ezra leaves the galaxy along with Ron, because they weren't in the original trilogy from a production perspective, right? I guess they could be off-world, but you need to explain why they're not there. So we all sort of suspected that Kanan would die, but then when it actually happened, we were like, son of a bitch, it really happened. Like we were all hoping against hope that it wouldn't.
That he was off hiding somewhere.
Yeah, in exile, you know, or trapped somewhere or something. Like Ezra was trapped, and Kanan was, you know, was dead. But I think
now
I
we
love
get
the way
Ezra
they handled it.
Drug into that, you know, that era, the post, you know, which is interesting because that really is post Jedi, pre Phantom Menace. They're going to have a little walkie to have to do there.
Pre-Force Awakens, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when they're like debriefing him of everything that's happened in the last decade. And there's a lot in that. So
I'd be like, Princess Leia, I know her.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? She did what? Oh,
Yeah, because they
wow.
met once, right? So he's gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, like she like runs the rebellion. I know Mon
What's
Mothma."
Lando up to?
Yeah.
How's
Oh,
Hondo doing?
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
can
how's
you
Hondo
imagine?
doing? Can you imagine? That's amazing. Yeah,
How about
he's over at
Vizago? What's he
Galaxy's
up
Edge.
to?
He's hanging out on Batuu.
What's up
Yeah,
with
Kanan's
Chewie?
loss was super emotional, John. I agree. It was actually sadder than Ezra's, of course, because
Yeah.
like he's gone, and we have that time to grieve, and I think they handle it really well in the show, and it also
Yeah.
unlocks like this whole portion of the season unlocks a lot of weird mystical stuff. You know how we talk about freaky force shit, and that was coined by the
Y'all.
Daughters of the Galaxy. I think Jamie's the one who said it.
Totally
Freaky
was.
force shit, y'all. We got a lot of that in Rebel season 4 with the
Yeah.
wolves and the hyperspace travel across the planet,
Purgles.
with the world between worlds, the Purgles. There's just
The
a lot of that.
Emperor.
Yeah, the Emperor
Whales,
like
some space
visiting.
whales.
It's wild. And so we start seeing more and more of that in Doom and Wolves in a Door and World Between Worlds. 11, 12, and 13 are like banger episodes. We just rewatched them on the channel. And I will say, like, they're probably some of the most rewatchable. Like, I love World Between Worlds. I love hearing all the voices from both present and past and future Star
Yeah.
Wars
Oh, watching
projects.
those with the
And it's a must if you're going to
caption.
watch Ahsoka. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
you can't get the
Facts.
full extent of what the World Between Worlds is in Ahsoka if you don't watch that episode in
Exactly.
Rebels.
It really is homework. And as much as I hate to say
I
that
think
there's like
it's
required viewing, like you need it.
it's more important than oh shit, the story arc in Clone Wars about the father, son, and the daughter. They what do
Oh,
they
the
call it?
Mortis. Yes,
Mortis.
more important than
I
Mortis.
think it's even more important than the Mortis arc.
I agree, because in this one you get it. All you need to know about the Mortis arc is that there's a father, a son, and a daughter, and they do light, dark, and balance, and they're
And they live
treated as gods.
in a place where
Yeah.
there's no time and space
Yeah.
because that
Which
all of that
they-
happened like
Which
that.
enough of that is told to you in Rebels that you don't really need to go back and rewatch it. I will say though, when I saw it in Rebels, we'll call it the first mural, right? Because the mural
Yeah.
of the father, son, and the daughter is not the final mural of the season. So whenever we say mural, but when that one first popped up, I like lost my damn mind because I know Ashley, you and I have talked about this. The Mortis
Oh, yeah.
arc are our favorite episodes of all of Clone Wars, both of us.
Absolutely.
So
Up
I
until season 7, but yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. And I think
Yeah.
even for me, I think they still rank in the top, other than Siege of Lothal, the finale. Like they're both
Well,
like
having the daughter
there.
around as the little owl,
Mhm.
whatever that bird is.
More
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Convor.
Morai is still with Ashley or Ahsoka.
Yep, I do
through
that too.
the
I call Ahsoka Ashley all the time.
They're integral. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all right. I started to call Mark Hamill Luke when I saw him in Chicago.
not the first person, I'm sure.
No, not even close.
Yeah, he's in some. Oh, he's in Rebuild the Galaxy, and he gets his own title card. Very special voice guest or something, or very special
Oh,
guest
that's
star,
rad.
because he
Cool.
plays a version
I
of
only
Luke.
watched one episode.
It's good. It's really cute. I'm a fan. Okay, so we're at the World Between Worlds. It is a must-watch for all Star Wars fans. Even if you don't know Rebels, watch that episode just to see like what the
Yeah.
f, right? And then it takes us to the finale, which we are coming up on ourselves. We watched A Fool's Hope last week, and I will say the thing about A Fool's Hope is that it shows Ezra at his strongest as a leader. We're now a couple episodes removed where Kanan is gone. The consequences are known. He's no longer even like in the Force in their ear, guiding them in any way. He's like, pass the ball, do not fumble it, right? Ezra has the ball, and he gets Hondo, Jaikel, As Morrigan, Ryder, the rest of the Ghost crew. Hondo shows up with Hera, and they trap Price, and they win the day. It's kind
Yeah.
of they escape from Rook and everyone else, and the
Also,
wolves
like-
come to the rescue. It's amazing.
Yeah. Also, Callus. Like, Callus is on their side. The addition
That's right.
of
Yeah.
Callus and Rex, that adds some like military strategy to
Mhm.
their game and kind of finesses things a little bit. Also, having a former senator in Mon Mothma backing you, even though she's on Yavin, it's that whole
Well-
level of like, okay, our
Yeah.
quest has some legitimacy now. So
Well, and
really
Ezra's
does.
heard his message from the Funky Force ship.
Yeah.
And he's following the plan. He's the message. I mean, that. So he's in the cave and he's talking to the wolves and he's hearing the message. that is obviously coming from Kanan and the Force. And now he's like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and he's executing the plan. The last 2 episodes are about him executing the plan and having faith in what he's supposed to do.
Yep. So if you believe in the Force and the Force willing you to do the thing that needs to be done, the purpose of Rebels is the show for Ezra to not just become a Jedi, but to understand, personal sacrifice and truly removing Thrawn from the equation. Because I think
Right.
if the Empire had Thrawn, they probably would have won the war. Like,
Yeah,
period, full sentence, stop, game over. I
yeah.
think like you have Thrawn on your side, done. So if Ezra's main purpose was to eliminate Thrawn, how does Ezra find his way as a street rat from Lothal to eventually figure out how to the best Imperial tactician, right? You have to surprise him in a way that he's never going to see coming. And man, what's that line from um, uh, they never expect the Spanish Inquisition?
No one
Like
ever
that
expects
line.
a Spanish
Yeah,
Inquisition.
it's the kind of thing where it's, like, too wild and weird, like, no one expected the Purgles, and I did this, like, YouTube, like, investigative journalism where I was like, "Did I miss something?" Where as we were getting ready for the series finale, for the end of season 4, there were recap videos. There was Rebels Recon. There's all this shit leading up to the finale. There
Right.
was not one mention, despite the fact that that Ezra throughout Rebels demonstrates his connection to animals. There was nothing in any recaps that even call out the Purgles. And so they kept it that deep down. Where imagine like they're showing a listicle of like, Ezra met the wolves, the
Yeah.
Myloks, the Purgles, the this, the that. Like you throw them on a list with 7 other things, you don't think anything of it.
Right.
There
And
was
those really
nothing.
weird like space stingrays that Hera
Yeah.
was communicating with because of
Yes.
her signal blocking. Like
Yeah.
just the
They were telling
weirdness.
us the whole way, and nobody was listening.
Exactly. And that's where I'm like, how did we all miss it? We all missed it. I missed
So
it.
so I'm like extra like hesitant about like going back and rewatching the first season of Ahsoka and just being like, okay, what I miss.
I did, yeah, no, let me tell you, I'm sure I missed a lot. But at the same time, I watched Ryan Airy and New Rock Stars and
Right.
every other Paul. Like I watch all of Screen Crush. Like I watch all of the recap things, and they tell me what I missed, and it's how I'm getting ready for Agatha. Also, I want to point out that Spencer mentioned that he's going to a special screening of Agatha tomorrow night. I
Yeah.
may also be going. We tentatively have tickets, but it's always very first come first serve. And in New
Right.
York, people like camp out for that shit. So I don't wanna promise people that I'm gonna have, like, anything to say tomorrow night after I see the first 2 episodes of Agatha if I can get there, but I'm desperately hoping to go to see it on the big screen
Right.
because I
Oh,
also think
fingers
it's New
crossed.
York, like, Patti LuPone could legitimately show up, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh my
that would be
god.
cool, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
I've met her before, by the way, I have an autograph, like, she's amazing, she's
Aw.
Broadway royalty, but I think I would die just because like, it's Patti LuPone in a TV show that's, like, m made for me. Um
And Patty LuPone in a Marvel TV show that's
I
made
know!
for you.
So
Like
all right, I want to sidebar for 1 second, and this is how we lose the show. Um, I was talking about Patty LuPone. It's got to be a couple years ago, and I forget how it even came up. And my dad had like no reference point for who she was, and then was like, "Wait a minute, was she in Summer of Sam?" It's like Summer of Sam, the Spike Lee movie about the summer of like the son of Sam with all the shootings and everything, like that set in New York, like
Hi, Lonnie.
Hey Lonnie. By the way, Lonnie and I had a lovely time in New York 2 weeks ago when she came into
Yeah.
town. It was so fun. It was great seeing you in real life. I'm talking about the summer of Sam. I'm glad you weren't here for that kind of New
We're
York summer.
totally off the
Yeah, we're
rails
off
right
topic.
now.
Well, it's Patty LuPone, so it's adjacent. But like in that movie, in Summer of Sam, Patty LuPone is in it and plays one of the romantic leads of one of the random men and has like a topless scene in the movie. And I was like, that is my dad's reference for Patty LuPone. I was like, she is a
Oh
Broadway
my
legend
god.
and
That's
done all this
wild.
stuff. And I was like, the one movie you've seen her in, she's done nudity. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh my
That's
God,
so
it's
wild.
wild. Yeah. But I was like, all right, if that's your reference for Patty LuPone, I forget how it even came up, but like it just makes me crack up every time.
That's so crazy.
So weird. Um, anyway, so off of Patty LuPone,
Rebels.
WandaVision Wednesday. Um, maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. Spencer, you and I will have to text.
Yeah.
But yes, back to Rebels. it now brings us to where we are at the family reunion and the farewell. And I will say, for anyone who didn't see it coming, the big bad of the whole of Star Wars is Emperor Palpatine, and he returns in full force and offers Ezra the thing that he said he wanted at the start of the series was his family back. His mom and
Yeah.
dad were missing. Turns out they're dead. Palpatine claims that through the Force and the World Between Worlds and whatever other nonsense, that he rebuilt a portion of the Lothal Temple on his ship, that he can give it to Ezra, and Ezra's tempted. This is the last temptation of Christ over here. And
Honestly, I think it's so well done and so thought out that, like, okay, Palpatine is not only listening to the thing that Ezra wants more than in the world than this is to see his parents again. And obviously he's heard the broadcast on Lothal. He knows what the Bridgers have done and how this little upstart in the rebellion has been like a thorn in his side. Um, I think through Thrawn, he's been learning about the weaknesses of this little ragtag team. Oh, hello. How are
I
you,
know
Hickey?
he's the star of the show.
Mark has become a cat. A very handsome little cat.
I'm a
Last
lost
week
cat.
we were lost cats. This week we're actual cats. But I
Yeah.
honestly think, like,
Palpatine
that's
underestimated him and really
totally.
thought that Ezra was going to be like, oh, yeah, I'll take my parents back. But Ezra has matured
And he
he's ready
totally
for this
has like a
moment.
Terminator 2 moment where, like,
Mhm.
he's on the phone with his parents and he's asking them how they are, and they say something and he's like, your parents are dead, kind of
Mhm.
thing. And it just
Yeah.
clicks in his head.
Yeah,
And
he knows it's not real.
I'm proud of
Season
him.
1, Ezra would have fallen for that, and
Totally.
there'd be no rebellion.
Totally.
Season 4, Ezra has learned from Kanan, the Bendu, Ahsoka, Hera, Sabine, Zeb, everyone around him.
Yeah.
Took on, I will say, defeated Palpatine, air quotes, right? Escaped Palpatine, shut him down.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it wouldn't. There's no way he would have. Yeah. I think it shows just how strong he is. And not only did he escape Palpatine and not fall for the big trick, he also then defeats Thrawn, summons the Purgles, which I'm telling you, not one person saw coming. There's not one person.
No.
I was a licensee at the time, and I texted every person I've ever met, and I was like, "Did you see that coming?" No one. And no one
Yeah.
would say like, "Oh yeah, I thought the Purgles were coming back." What the fuck? Like, now if you said like the wolves like took down the place or
Oh,
something
yeah,
like that, I was
absolutely.
imagining an
Heartbeat.
Avatar moment, like Avatar the movie, not The Last Airbender, where like the wildlife like approaches and like destroys the empire kind of thing, like that.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was thinking of. So, but yeah, it was a moment, and then I thought the coda more than anything else, like just really like it got the stamp of like, okay, the action here doesn't end here. They're going to tell us what happened post Return of the Jedi, and we've got Spectre 7.
Yes.
It was so good. I loved everything about it.
Honestly, this season pulls up. Not only it dials up the romance and the worst of times between Hera and Kanan, like that alleyway scene where they're both on Lothal and they're wearing the Lothalian clothes that are terrible, but like the tension is there. The cool hats, yes.
We need hats. Who's a cosplayer who can make us hats? Surprisingly, it's not me.
Make
Like,
us
I'm
some
not
really
capable.
awesome Lothal hats, and we'll we'll touch you out. But the tension between them two are there, and like we're getting Hera to admit that she loves him, and Kanan's like, don't say it, like it's not the time, and you're crazy, like you've just been rescued and you've been drugged and you're just loopy, and it's killing me. It just absolutely killed me. I'm like, they were so close, even though she calls him love in the first episode. It's like,
yeah. That's the thing. They were doing this like, are they not? I was like, they are. They're obviously a couple. So I thought that was kind of silly.
but they didn't make it like a forefront of a thing until it absolutely had to be, because that's how we get Spectre 7, Jason Syndulla.
Yeah.
So
Love me some Jason.
he's adorable.
I'm excited to see where he ends up down the line, because in the new trilogy time period, he would be of age to be at that temple. Got to see where he ends up with Kylo or Luke or somewhere else, or maybe he's off doing his own thing. Maybe he's hanging out with Ahsoka. Ahsoka's going to outlive all of us. She might be immortal. We don't know.
Yeah,
With the
because of
connection to
Mortis.
the Mortis daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, she fell off that cliff and into the world between worlds. How?
Yeah.
You usually
They
have to
pulled
like
her
enter
out
it
of the
intentionally.
water.
Yeah. girl, she's immortal. Like, I think that's the answer right there. Like, she might not be like, um, not impenetrable. I'm trying to think of the word. Like, she can be
Invulnerable.
damaged. Yeah,
She's
right. There you
not
go.
invulnerable,
Invulnerable.
but she is immortal.
Yes. Which is some death becomes her kind of shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah. That'll be another thing.
Someone's been watching Sabrina Carpenter videos.
mm,
Just saying.
by the way, how hot is that video? Even as a
It's
gay
so
guy, I'm
funny.
like,
It's so
yeah.
funny. I love them. They're great.
And I love Jenna Ortega. By the way, Beetlejuice was a trip. I hope everyone got to
I
see it in
haven't
the
seen it
theater.
yet. I'm
It's
going
good.
to see
It's
The
really fun.
Matrix again for the 25th anniversary on
Oh,
Thursday.
I was
So
going to say it's the 25th anniversary of The Matrix, and my
yes.
friend Nick, who is the executive director of New Fest, which is the LGBTQ film festival based here in New York City, he has a 25th anniversary screening of Matrix happening
Oh,
middle of
nice.
October, so about a month from now. There's a bunch of stuff playing, including Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which I've never seen on the big screen. I've been
Oh,
obsessed with that since I'm a kid because obviously I'm a gay man. Like, of course I'm obsessed with Elvira. So we have that license. Like, we do costumes for her. We've got a lawn inflatable. We've got a makeup palette with her. Cassandra's like amazing
oh,
to work with, and
yay.
we love her. But yeah, I've never seen Mistress of the Dark on the big screen.
Oh,
I've
I'm
got the
excited for
4K,
you.
but I'm like, so you have no idea. I like want to go in drag. Like, that's how good it's going to be. You
Do
don't want to see
it.
that, but
Come on.
there'll
It'll
be
be
plenty of
so
other
fun.
people who will do it better, I'm sure. But yeah, it's gonna be a moment. And yes, Matrix, same thing. Like, dress up for the Matrix. Like, celebrate the 25th because
Honestly, I
it
have
was peak culture. It was.
Neo's coat. Black Milk Clothing did like a version of Neo's long black coat with like the code on the inside as the lining. I've had like code lining sweatshirt and like leggings. I'll probably wear that. But yeah, it's Wednesday's Alan's birthday, so we're gonna go on Thursday
Oh,
because
oh,
yeah,
nice. That'll be
yeah.
a blast. We'll
Thank
tell
you.
Alan happy birthday.
Thanks.
Um,
Yeah.
don't forget, with all the other pop culture stuff happening, Thursday here on the network, they're going to do Rebuild the Galaxy as a watch along. So if you haven't watched it, you might want to just watch it with the boys. I
Perfect
think it'll be a
time.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
I'm
And then
excited.
also on the network, Ashley and Jamie have what we're calling an in memoriam for the Acolyte. How are we
Yeah.
treating this?
Um,
It's a celebration of life,
a
right?
It's not dead.
celebration.
They just want you
Yeah.
to think it's dead so that you'll get upset.
Right. And we are going to go over, obviously, we will discuss our gripes with the whole decision ultimately, and just how it was handled. Basically, how we started
Well,
talking about it tonight is how Jamie and I will handle it. And
to steal from
honestly,
another Disney property, they chose poorly.
Hmm.
poorly.
Yeah.
Not just terribly, poorly. So we'll go over that, and obviously it's kind of like a chance for Jamie because we all know how much Jamie loved that show and how it felt like her most favorite thing ever, and for them to do it that dirty, like
Well, the High Republic, right, in live action.
absolutely, it was beautiful, and we got Vernestra Rowe in live
yeah.
action with her whip lightsaber, so good. But it just gives us a chance to just kind of vent, and we want to hear you vent too. So please join us in the chat.
Yeah, I think that this will be a nice cleanse where
Yeah.
we're going to speak positively about the show. And by we, I mean the girls. It's Jamie and Ashley's show.
You can talk to.
They no, I mean I'm the man behind the curtain. I just
You
press the
can
button
talk to.
sometimes. But it's not my
Give
venue.
you permission.
That being said, I do think it's going to be nice to be in an environment where people feel positively about the show. You can
Right.
talk about what you liked about it, what you think would be great to continue with, and how we all feel about the way it was handled, the way Disney handled the we'll say air quotes cancellation. Yes, yeah, the women are on screen, Lonnie. So I'm excited to here's the thing. Jamie loves the High Republic and love this show. And so I want her to just like go wild. And also I think we need to have an honest conversation about what this fandom has become. And again, not the VCN.
Absolutely.
The Star Wars fandom is a problem.
The
The fact that Star
fandom
Wars Theory
menace.
is like picking fights with random creators and sharing personal emails from Alex from when they were
Ew.
like first buddies like 10 years ago is like loathsome.
So
So
tacky.
like I
It's
can't
beyond
even.
the pale.
So I don't know
Um,
how we recover from like this kind of nonsense as a fandom. Like it's just such garbage.
I
And
know
like
how, and it involves the major corporations like Disney and the major networks like Disney and Marvel and DC not listening to them. Listen to the fans.
sure. Yeah,
I
I
know.
think that's part of it, but like I mean,
Flex a little legal muscle, you know. I mean, he's going
Mhm.
around with the name Star Wars Theory. I mean, you know,
And honestly,
excuse me, I'm sorry, that's copyrighted material, and you're
between
yeah,
picking
talking.
a fight with like Pablo Hidalgo and picking a fight with now like other, you know,
You are
content
attacking.
creators.
You are publicly using
Like,
our intelligent property, and threatening and picking fights with our employees. We will shut you down like a big old dog.
mhm, I
yeah.
think that's what they need.
I agree. I think I think there needs to be a reckoning, and I don't know how we get there without Disney leading it, because
Yeah.
the fans can't police themselves anymore because it's too easy to monetize hatred as opposed to the stuff you love. We're talking about stuff we love. Other people are talking about stuff they hate and they're bringing in $1 million, and that's the difference, unfortunately. But I would rather do this. I'd rather spend time with people I like, people I love. Um, and enjoying things than complain. We do our complaints, but they're usually minor, and
Yeah.
it'll usually be about like why wasn't it better for the thing we loved, that kind of shit. Whereas like I'm so ready for yeah, I think that's it. You just have to ignore more than anything else. Like remove the oxygen from the equation. And
Absolutely.
with that said, like watch our stuff instead. Like I really think that like we're a good alternative to all the garbage that's out there, and there's something on the network for everyone. So Wednesday, join us for the celebration of life of the Acolyte, and we don't really know it's canceled. Like Skip said earlier, it's really Deadline and Variety who might have like tweeted about it or whatever, and it got picked up by everyone. But Disney hasn't really said either way what's going on with the Acolyte, so we'll find out.
Until
And then
Disney
Thursday.
says it's done, it's not done.
Exactly. And who knows? The characters may come back. There may be another show with a different title. There's so much in the hopper right now and so much up for debate because streaming is an evolving media, right? Like
Mhm.
everything is changing. It's the same thing with even Agatha. We never thought we were going to get the show, but now they're doing a third portion where there's going to be a Vision Quest show. One, who asked for that? And two, why isn't that a movie? But three, I think they're trying to create a trilogy of shows. So I don't really care about Vision. Like I loved WandaVision, but I don't care about Vision. I care about Wanda.
Yeah.
So
I
someone
like
I
else
Vision
may
as a
really enjoy it.
character. I'm not so sure I like the WandaVision version of him.
Sure. And yeah, it's a very different kind of Vision, right? He's nothing like the one in the comics or anything. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Um, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to comment on stuff that I don't really know about, right? Like we don't know anything about this new Vision Quest show, or when it's coming out, but we do know what is out now. So Rebuild the Galaxy, Agatha All Along this week, and then some new movies coming out. What the hell is going to do? Beetlejuice just came out. Matrix 25th anniversary. There's a bunch of cool stuff happening, and then before you know it, Joker will be here. So it's gonna be wild out in the
Yeah.
fandom.
I
Yeah.
loved like a little side note into the Penguin. I loved hearing Kristen Milioti. Also, we know her as Tracy, the mother from How I Met Your Mother,
hmm
and she was in a fantastic episode of Black Mirror. If you guys have seen that, the Star Trek inspired episode.
Oh yeah.
Um,
The USS Callister.
yes.
Yeah, it's
Um,
amazing.
so she was in that episode, but she was on a late night show recently talking about how she the fact that she knows the Colin Farrell that was in the makeup as Oz
hmm
and met the Colin Farrell outside of the makeup like a handful of times, but he was in the makeup more than he was out. It just shocked her because she's
hmm
like, there's the eyes and there's the voice, but it's coming from a completely different body and it's tripping me
Yeah.
out.
Oh, the
So,
makeup is intense on that show.
oh
Um,
God, it's so good. Hi,
I
Juan.
do want to put up Ray's comment because I really appreciate this. Thank you, Ray. Every now and then we get on a little
Yay.
rant and a little tangent, but we do try to keep it very positive over here and talk about what we love. Um, so yes, and we know we love some books too. All right, thank you, Lonnie. Thank and Juan and
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you all for the love. We really appreciate it, especially as we have 2 episodes left. So, with that in mind, please make sure to check us out on the network. Oh, we do have a couple plugs. Sorry. We're going way over tonight, guys. Sorry. There's a few things we wanted to show. First of all, LA Comic Con is coming up October 4th through the 6th. There will be a meetup. We're trying to do a better job of promoting the meetups at all of these shows because we know that so many of you guys attend. I wish I could be at this one. This one sounds like a fun one. It's at the LA Convention Center. The meetup is going to be Saturday, October 5th at 2 p.m. at the base of the staircase. And of course, you can see all of the details up on the Facebook page. And then we have, oh boy, New York Comic Con. So the meetup on this one is Friday, October 18th at 8 p.m. at the Moynihan Food Hall. And so the bar is called the Irish Exit. If you don't know where Moynihan Food Hall is, this is basically at Penn Station. So
Right.
you're walking over just a couple of avenues. It's really easy to get to. It's probably where many of you will be arriving if you're taking the train or the subway or anything like that. It's really close to the venue, so that's exciting. And then I'm going to jump ahead real quick to Tokyo. We are doing a not so virtual Cantina meetup in Tokyo for anyone who's going to Star Wars Celebration Japan, which
Not a
obviously
Bunka.
that's a while from now, but we'll get there. And then our closing event of the year probably is Rhode Island Comic Con. So Friday, November 1st, 9:30 p.m. at our usual Dave and Buster's, which is always a blast. And last year we inducted Chris Bartlett and had a couple other actors come to the event. I can't make any promises around talent showing up, but I will tell you that this is my favorite event. And I
So
mean
fun.
that wholeheartedly. I love Rhode Island. It is a low-key con. You get to meet some great people. You spend a lot of quality time hanging out and just luxuriating. It's fun, but it's
I
not
enjoyed
super
myself
high
there last
pressure.
time.
Yeah,
It's
it
good
was so great
times.
to have you and Bridget there with us
Yeah.
last year.
And
It was
Liberty
really
was
cool.
there. A bunch of people. Joanna
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
Kathy was there. I mean, even Spencer was there. No, he's there. He's everywhere. It was a really, really good time. I think Spencer and I are roommates again this upcoming con. So we'll have a
Nice.
good time and we'll
I'll be
party
driving
Friday night.
back and forth.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
taking the
spoiled.
train up late on Friday, and I might get there for some of the evening on Friday. Because if you could do all your autographing on Friday and be done. And I'll do some on Saturday and then head back Sunday. So we'll see how that all goes.
Sprinkle in stress free.
Yeah.
I will not be attending the meetup at New York Comic Con this year, but I will be there on Thursday and on Sunday.
Mhm.
It's official. I got my tickets. So I will see anybody who's there, including you, Mark,
Mhm.
there on those days. And
We have to meet Thursday because I'm going to Salem that weekend, as it turns out. Everything.
Oh my God. So you're coming here.
I know. This is the irony of my life. So this trip was planned by a
Wild.
bunch of friends. There's 12 people going to Salem, and no one looked at the calendar beforehand. Everyone said we're all available because I didn't have it on my work calendar as attending Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And so I can't make 10 other people change their plans for me. So I'm
That's
leaving
true.
Friday morning, but I'm able to go Thursday. So we will meet up on Thursday.
Nice. Yeah, I think I only have a photo op and an autograph with Haley Atwell, who I did meet in Boston in 20, I think it was
Haley Atwell.
2014. Yeah.
Nice.
And
I would
wanted
like to meet Haley Atwell.
She
She's
is
gorgeous.
lovely. Absolutely lovely. It's so fun. Our photos together are great, but I wanted to meet her again. It's been over 10 years and it was time. So I wanted to see what else. And
I
also
will be
on
seeing everybody-
Sunday.
I will be seeing everybody at ICCCC or ICCC.
IC cubed.
IC cubed. Yeah, I love that. IC cubed.
Yeah. That's going to be such a fun show. Every time they announce somebody, I'm just like, I want to go. But alas, I cannot.
I know. I hope everyone has a great time there.
Yeah, I hope you have a fantastic time, Skip.
And then reminder to check in with us on Monday. We'll give you full recaps of all the shows we attend, as always, and whatever else happened in the week in pop culture. And then we just have 2 episodes left. So next week, join us for the first of our 2-parter, where it's a family reunion, and then we'll watch Farewell the week after. It's gonna be sad. I'm sad, but I'm so excited about Clone Wars. But this is feeling really real that this is ending. But it has been such a blast, you guys. Everyone who's stayed with us for these 2.5 years, basically, to just chat with us on Monday nights about Rebels. It has been the thrill of a lifetime. I could not have imagined this we were originally ideating the show, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we'll do like 40 episodes less than a year. We'll do 2 episodes as a combo and
And it's
be on our
so
way.
wild to go back and watch the first episode, and we were both so nervous, and how chill we
We're
are
talking a
now
mile a
compared to
minute.
the
Yeah.
first episode.
Now we log on like 10 minutes before the show starts. I used to have like lists
A
like this, and I was
half-hour
like, what's our
block.
topic this week? Let's go. So it's much more chill.
Just talk, we'll
Skip,
figure it out.
I messaged Skip like 7 minutes before we were going on air. I was like, "You joining us tonight?" And he's like, "I'm not sure. Am I?" And I was like, "Oh, we have. Let's see if we have an overlay. Look, great. You
We
fit on screen."
do!
Yeah,
Yay!
done.
Skip dropping. Okay, and then 30 seconds before the airtime, which show are we watching? We're not. We're just talking
No,
about
just
season
talking.
4. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
No problem.
Things are going great. It used to be the tightest ship, and now it is the loosest. But that's that's what happens when we're on air this long. I think we all kind of know what we're doing, and we try to keep it casual and keep an eye on the comments and
Yeah.
engage. That's the big thing.
Rails,
Less
where we're
preparation,
going.
more
We
engagement.
don't need
Yeah.
rails.
Yeah, I don't need notes. Believe me, I'm going to need notes as we get to Clone Wars. I can't. I'm trying to decide still. Will I rewatch the episode before we watch, or will I
I'm
go
not
in
doing
cold?
it.
I kind of want to
I've
go in
only
cold.
seen all the episodes minus
Oh,
season 7
yeah.
once.
Do you want to
So
do that? You
Yeah.
guys up for that in the comments? If we all went in cold and had like legitimate reactions to what was
Yeah,
happening,
then we're
because
like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like the stuff we've forgotten about and the stuff that we're noticing for the first time, like, oh, the captions are on. They said
Sherry's
this.
like, oh,
Wow.
that's what makes it so
Yeah.
much more fun.
Yeah, there you
Sherry,
go.
I like the sort of casual nature and the in the moment reactions and whatnot. It feels very spontaneous. I'm better planning than spontaneous, but I'm also better unscripted than scripted, if that makes sense. So I like to plan but not script. So that way I have an outline, not a word for word, I guess is the way to put that, right?
Very-
So yeah.
Suggestion.
Like getting ready for the family vacation was like that. Like I knew what I wanted to ask each person when I interviewed them for like the hot seat, but I didn't have like written questions and cue cards. Like that would have been too formal for that environment. I don't think it would have been the right energy.
Great.
But like I had notes on my phone of like remember to flex with Christopher Sean, and which I did, by the way, which is hilarious because his arms are 3 times the size of mine. So
I've
um,
seen that man like in person now, and yeah,
he's ginormous. Like
he and
he's the
his
Hulk in
lady
real
like
life. It's like
hit
unreal.
the gym hard. They're awesome.
Yeah, his whole Instagram is working out, and of course like his voice work and everything else. But like he does the hour of power and everything. It's very inspiring. So anyway, yeah. So check out my interview with Chris as well, and Nelson. That's the one that went live today. And of course, like make sure you follow all of us on the network as well. We do have where all of our social channels and everything. So that's not the right thing.
Oh.
Hold on, wrong ticker. There we go.
There we go.
That's the one. So follow us on YouTube, Virtual Cantina Network, Instagram. Don't bother on Twitter or anything else. But also remember to like this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, remember to check back in with us next week on Monday. I think that's everything for this week, right?
I think you hit it all.
All right, good. All right. Well, thank you guys again. It's great hanging out.
Oh,
And we'll see you
also,
next.
we forgot one thing. Our boy Ewan got a star on the Walk
got
of
a
Fame
star.
in Hollywood.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
We've had so much
Congratulations, Ewan
Star Wars.
McGregor.
So congratulations, Ewan. We love
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that was the other thing I wanted. So it was a weird big week in Star Wars. Ewan McGregor got a star, obviously, too, with James Earl Jones' passing.
Yeah.
We did change the schedule last week. On Thursday night, they watched Empire Strikes Back. And I know the Unifying Force is going to be doing a tribute episode to James Earl
Oh,
Jones.
yay.
We felt like the other shows on the network were more like ready to talk extensively about James Earl Jones than the Rebel
And
show.
right,
He's in a few
yeah.
episodes of Rebels, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get to the finale. But obviously, he was a force to be reckoned with in every way, and he was just the best. So it's very sad, obviously, to lose our Darth Vader, our Mufasa, our voice of Atlantic Bell, and everything else. Our
Yes.
Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeah.
He was the man. So thank you, James, for everything. And thank you, everyone who joined us tonight and every week in the comments. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you
Yes.
next Monday for another episode of Rebels Revisited. Until then, may the force be with you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.